A long time ago there was a special village nestled around green hills and lush meadows. The village was called Maroon, however it had a more popular name. It was known by other villages. Other villagers called it the village of blessed twins. This was because hundreds of years ago, the gods blessed the village that if any woman gives birth to twins, the twins would be specific and divinely gifted. Due to this blessing pronounced by the gods, it made the village of Voodoo to be known far and wide. Anytime a woman gave birth to twins in the land, the village would be in a huge celebration. Even the king would attend the ceremony and give gifts of gold, beads, and other treasures to the family in order to take care of the twins. This was a tradition, and also the kings knew that once the twins come of age, they will bring even greater glory back to the village. However, despite all this, twins in Maroon village were rare and hard to come by. Many women who got pregnant in the village would always pray to the gods to give them the gift of twins in order for their life to change. Amidst this, there were two women in the village who were friends. Their names were Ada and Lila. Both of the women were friends from a young age and had grown up together. However, when they got to the age of marriage, Lila got more suitors than Ada and she eventually got married. Lila got married to a wealthy man who was from a wealthy family. As soon as this happened, her behavior towards Ada changed. She stopped being friends with her and the competitiveness that they had turned dark. Lila began to move with new friends and they would laugh at Ada because she was poor and unmarried. Ada would secretly cry alone inside her hut. Since she no longer had her parents, there was not really anyone she could talk to. As time passed, Ada fell in love and married a rich man called Yuzo. She was finally happy that Lila and her new friends would no longer be able to laugh at her anymore. However, after a year that Ada got married to her husband, an incident happened that made him become poor. This happened after he suffered a disaster that destroyed his farmlands. As Ada's husband was no longer rich, she could no longer go to the market to buy the expensive things she once used to. When in the market, she would try to hide or cover her head in shame because she knew that those who once knew her to be rich and fancy would see her. Her former friend Lila once saw her in the market. She and her friends began to laugh at the new kind of clothes that she was wearing. Owing to this, Ada vowed that she would get back at Lila. As life would have it, Lila got pregnant for her husband. When it was time to deliver her baby, it came as a shock as Lila gave birth to twins. Two beautiful boys. The whole village was joyous. Celebration was all over the streets. The old women in their wrappers danced and danced. Even little children who had no idea what was really happening was joyous. News flew across other villages that a woman had given birth to twins. In no time, the news also reached Ada. Ada was shocked after hearing the news. She felt bad, asking why only good things happened to Lila despite her character and all the bad things she had done to her. How would the gods bless Lila with twins when Lila was always making fun of her and tormenting her? Ada was devastated. She knew now that there was nothing more she could do that would matter. Even if miraculously her husband became rich again, it could never compare to the glory that Lila now had. In her mind, her enemy has now found a new way to mock her and she was not going to have it. Ada made up her mind too that she too must have a set of twins on her own. Ada then began to save up some money. She had heard of a powerful priestess in a faraway village who had a solution to almost every problem. Ada began to save some money in order to travel and meet the priestess. She decided that she was no longer going to live a miserable life and she would finally give Lila, her friend now turned enemy, the shock of her life. Ada traveled to the distant village, crossing many rivers and many forests. She lied to her husband that she was going to see a distant relative that she had. She knew that was the only way her husband would let her travel. When Ada got to the distant village, she asked for directions in order to find the priestess. When she got to the shrine of the powerful priestess, she explained her plight and said what she desired. The priestess explained to Ada that only the gods had the power to predetermine the children a woman would she have. She further told Ada that she should be patient and that the gods may eventually reward her with the twins she wanted. Ada begged the priestess, saying that she did not want to leave anything to chance. She begged that the priestess should find a way to help her. The priestess then gave a bunch of kola nuts. She told Ada to eat them once every 7 days until she took in and that she would give birth to twins. However, she explained that there may be consequences for deciding to go through the path that she was taking. Ada thanked the priestess and took the kola nuts. She said that no matter what happens, she would bear the consequences if any should follow. Ada returned back to her village with joy in her heart. She believed she was going to give birth to twins. She followed the instructions the priestess gave her. She said in her mind that she was finally going to prove to those who laughed at her, especially Lila, that was not just the wife of a poor farmer. After some months, Lila became pregnant. In the meantime, Lila, who was still enjoying the gifts and attention got because she had given birth to twins, did not know that something terrible was about to happen. It was months after she had given birth, her twins developed a terrible illness and died. That month was a dark month for the village. Many of the villagers came to offer their condolences to Lila and some even tried to comfort her. When Ada heard the news, she didn't know how to feel. However, she knew that despite all the things that Lila had done to her, her babies were not a part of it and were actually innocent. In truth, she felt bad about the children. However, she too was pregnant. So she decided to make sure that she followed the priestess' instructions. In just about a few months later, Eddie gave birth to her own set of twins. It felt like an impossible feat. The whole village jubilated. A lot of persons were very happy. Some persons said that because Uden lost her twins, the gods decided to bless them again by giving twins to Ada. As per the normal tradition, villagers brought gifts to Ada. The king, just as it was required of him by tradition, brought gift of gold. Ada was so joyous. Her wish had finally come to pass. However, she didn't know that things would turn out to be bad for her later. Ada's children turned out to be two beautiful identical girls. They were the talk of the whole village for a long time. Ada named them Amara and Zara. Due to her blessings, everyone now wanted to be Ada's friend. However, the feeling was different for Ada because Uden, after losing her twins babies, began to live a quiet life and no longer made trouble with anyone. Ada also never tried to make Uden look bad for losing her twins. She just enjoyed the gifts and blessings that came from her twin girls. It didn't take long, time passed. Amara and Zara were two wonderful twins. They loved each other and did everything together. One of the things they loved doing was going to the stream together to fetch water for their parents. Amara, who was the older twin, loved her sister so much. She would tell her sister, Zara, beautiful stories and sing her beautiful songs till she fell asleep. As times passed, the identical twin sisters grew and became very beautiful. It was at this time that their gifts began to manifest. Amara and Zara were extremely good at making beautiful clothes with wonderful designs and colors. They were in there across the lands and all the villages. It didn't take long. Important, rich and powerful people from all over the villages would line up in front of Ada's house so that they could purchase the beautiful and adorned clothes that her twin daughters had made. Even the kings in other villages noticed the gods-given talent that Zara and Amara possessed. They became the talk of many villages. As time passed, however, people began to notice that the clothes that Amara made were more beautiful and colorful than her twin, Zara. This soon became news across many villages. It didn't take long. The villages began to notice that Amara and Zara were not equally gifted. As a result of this, many of the villagers in other villages did not want to buy the clothes made by Zara. This realization made Zara to feel bad and insecure. She would hold her clothing and sometimes cry alone inside her room. When Amara noticed that her sister was not happy, she started to look for ways that she would use to cheer her up. One time, in an entire month, Amara pretended to be seriously sick. She did this so that when people came to buy clothes from their house, they would have no choice but to buy the clothes Zara had made. This made Zara to be happy. Just like that, things continued to go good for the twin sisters until something more surprising and different happened. The village decided to hold a festival. In the festival, Zara told Amara that they should have fun and dance and play with the villagers. This was because Zara was feeling more excited than usual. Owing to her sister's request, Amara decided to participate in the festival by playing the local drum with the villagers. What she did not know, however, was that playing the drum would change her life forever. When Amara began to beat the drum, the beat was so melodious and captivating that the villagers stopped to wonder. Their mouths were wide open. Amara played the drum in such an extraordinary way that it felt as though the god of music had possessed Amara and was playing the drum instead. Everywhere was filled with excitement and the festival became even more interesting. Soon, it became clear that Amara was a gifted drummer. This realization changed everything. Kings of other villages began to request for Amara whenever they had a special occasion or festival to celebrate. When Zara saw her sister's new gift, she was very amazed. She felt that she too would possess the extraordinary gift to beat the drum like her sister. However, she was wrong. Zara would beat the drum inside her room, but the sound was far from extraordinary. It was nothing like that of her twin sister. She would feel sad and after a while try again. Day after day, she would try to play the drum like her sister, but it never worked. Zara sometimes would even go into the forest to try and beat the drum. This was because she didn't want anyone to see or hear her practicing. She knew they would laugh at her or taunt her for trying too hard to be like her sister, Amara. As Amara's drumming gift began to gain more popularity, she began to leave home more often. This was because other villages were always inviting her for special occasions. Amara would always beg Zara to accompany her to the village she was going because she loved her sister and didn't want to be alone. She also did not want her sister to be alone at home by herself with just their mother. Zara, on the other hand, would always refuse to go. She felt she would be a burden to Amara, and also she didn't want to be laughed at or mocked by others. She felt she would be of no use at all to sister. One time, as Amara left to another village just like she normally did, Zara went into the forest to practice her drum. However, this particular day was different. As she was playing her drum, an old strange-looking woman walked up to her. The old woman came to her and told her that she lived nearby. She then told Zara that she had been watching her cry time and time again because she could not play the drum like her sister. "I'm going to help you," the old woman said. The old woman then gave Zara a special drum and told her to take it home. She told her that at night when everyone was asleep, she should beat the drum 3 times. The old woman said that after she did that, she would be able to play any drum she touched just like her twin sister. Zara was very happy to hear this. She wasted no time in running home. The thought of her playing the drum like her sister clouded her mind to think properly. She wasn't even concerned about who the old woman was or how she got the mysterious drum. At night, when everyone was asleep, Zara brought out the drum and did as the old woman instructed. However, as she did this, an evil spirit awakened behind her. The ominous being entered into Zara and suddenly Zara fell to the floor. The next day, Zara woke up without remembering what happened to her, and she even forgot that she had gone into the forest the previous day. She also had no recollection of the old woman that gave her a mysterious drum. That same day, Amara returned from the village she had gone to play for. She also brought a gift for Zara and her mother, Ada. Ada, who had already gotten used to a luxurious life, took the gift in happiness. That night, as the family slept, the evil inside Zara began to manifest. She awoke all of a sudden. Her eyes were red as blood. Zara then went outside and suddenly transformed into a dark creature. In the form of the creature, Zara went on a rampage in the village, killing the livestock of various farmers in the village. She also had an acidious vapor breath. With this, she was able to make the plants in the villagers' farm wither and die. After she had done this, she transformed back into her human form and went back to sleep in her bed. The next day, the village was awoken to a shock. They saw their plants and crops destroyed and their livestock dead. It was a total disaster. The villagers cried to the king, begging. The king then, after hearing the plea from the villagers, devised a plan to get rid of anything that was causing the disaster. The king then called a very powerful warrior in the land that was also a medicine man. The warrior's name was Akin. The king then tasked Akin to do all in his power to catch whatsoever was causing the disaster. The king told Akin that since he was a medicine man, even though the threat was not a natural threat but that of a spiritual one, he would be able to handle the task. Akin was happy that the king gave him such an important task. He told the king that he would not sleep in the night but would patrol the village should in case danger arose. That night, the evil that possessed Zara awoke again. Zara awoke and was ready to carry out her evil deed. However, a sudden strong breeze that blew through the window awoke Amara. As Amara awoke, she was shocked to find out that her sister had changed. Her eyes were red and she was totally different. She screamed out of fear. Her scream woke up their mother, Ada. Ada was shocked to see what Zara had become. She wanted to scream, but nothing came from her mouth. Zara wanted to begin her transformation to a monster. However, her mother, Ada, went close to her in an attempt to see what had truly become of her child. Zara's finger turned into claws and she pierced into her mother's stomach. Blood spilled out. The scene was so terrifying that it made Amara to scream for the second time. Amara rushed and held her bleeding mother in her arm in tears. She was terrified of what had just transpired. She screamed for help. In the meantime, Zara jumped through the window and transformed into a beast like she did the previous night. As she was about to run and cause havoc in the village, Akin saw her. Akin, who had heard the scream of Amara, had traced the voice down to their place. Akin then fired 2 powerful arrows at Zara, who was now an evil creature. Zara suddenly fell down injured and weak. What do you think will become the fate of Zara, Amara, and their mother, who was almost lifeless on the ground? Will the king kill Zara for what she did to their village? Or will something more strange occur? Find out in the next part. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Till we meet again. Akin had fired his arrows and it pierced Zara, who had initially turned into a beast. However, because Akin's arrows had a powerful charm on it, it made Zara to return to her human form. She was, however, unconscious. Akin decided to walk close to her, and that was when he realized that the creature he had initially shot was Zara. Meanwhile, the scream of Amara had wakened some of the villagers who were her neighbors. Luckily for Amara, one of the skilled healers of the village lived close by. As soon as she heard the scream, she rushed to Ada's hut and saw her bleeding. She quickly went out to carry some herbs to treat Ada and stop her from bleeding. She then consoled Amara and told her to stop crying. Some persons who had woken up were shocked about what had happened. It didn't take long. Soon it was morning. At this time, almost all of the villagers had heard what had happened. They were aware that Zara was the one who was terrorizing their farm animals and destroying their crops at night. Zara was placed inside a cell inside the king's palace. The people of the village gathered at the front of the king's palace for a solution. The king then asked Akin if he would be able to help Zara return back to normal by using his powerful charms and medicines. Akin confessed, telling the king that the evil at play inside Zara was the work of powerful witchcraft and that it was beyond his powers and understanding. As soon as he finished, some villagers then began to shout that if Zara could not be cured, she should be killed. However, some other villagers began to chant that Akin should find a way to help her. These were said mostly by those who loved the twins. As all of this was going on, Amara was just by the side in tears, not knowing what to do or say. She just watched as she saw the village trying to decide the fate of her twin sister, Zara. The king ordered the people of the village to be quiet. The king then reminded the people who were saying that Zara should be killed that Zara and Amara were blessed twins and were gifts from the gods and must be dealt with using wisdom. As the king said this, Akin then told the king that he could make a powerful charm that would make Zara to be unconscious. He explained that in this unconscious state, she would not be able to turn evil at night. However, the medicine would only last for 3 days, and after 3 days, Zara would return back to her evil ways. As soon as the king heard this, he told the villagers that they should carry about their daily lives, that they would be safe for the next 3 nights. He reassured them that before the end of the 3 nights, they would have found a permanent solution to Zara's problem. After hearing this, the villagers left the palace and went on about their daily lives. Amara, Akin and Amara then held a meeting inside the king's palace on how they can help Zara. At the end of the conversation, it was concluded the best person that could really help Zara was someone referred to as the White Priest. The White Priest was also referred to as the Eyes of the Gods. The king told Amara that the White Priest knows all that has happened in the past and even sees the present. The only limitation of his power was his ability to see the future. The king explained that the gods did not give the White Priest the ability to see the future. Amara listened in and was baffled. She didn't know that such a person existed. She then asked how will she be able to locate the White Priest. The king told Amara that locating the White Priest was not a problem. He mentioned that a lot of persons in many villages knew where the White Priest dwelled. The real problem and obstacle is Kidu. Kidu is the reason why people are terrified to look for the White Priest. The king explained. He further explained that hundreds of years ago, when the gods granted the White Priest his powers, people started to seek the White Priest for selfish reasons. They asked him of the location of hidden treasures and other things that were not of virtue. As a result of this, the god sent Kidu, a powerful guardian, to block the path that led to the White Priest. Akin then told Amara that Kidu had the power to look into a person's soul to see if their quest was noble. If it decides that the person was not noble, it could kill the person instantly. Amara was terrified of this knowledge that she had just acquired. However, Amara loved her sister so much. She knew she must try everything within her power to help her. The king told Amara that long ago, Akin's great-grandfather had gone to meet the White Priest to gain knowledge about medicines and charms so he could help people by healing and protecting them. He further said that Akin's great-grand is the only person from their village that has gone and returned alive. Amara told the dad she would seek out the White Priest. The king told Akin to accompany and guide Amara in her journey. He reminded them that since the charm on Zara would wear off after 3 days, they should do their best to return on time. Amara and Zara then made preparation to go meet the White Priest. Before they left, Amara thanked Akin for deciding to help her and her sisters. Akin told Amara not to mention it, that it was because of situations like this that made his great-grandfather to look for the White Priest. Ever since then, his family had been making sure that they protected the village. After carrying the necessary items, Akin and Amara journeyed into the forest that led to the White Priest. On their way, after walking for a long time, Amara was surprised that the forest was calm and they were not experiencing any danger of threat. Akin then told Amara that it was as a result of Kidu. He explained that other creatures were afraid of Kidu and because of that they cannot be in the same forest where he dwelled. Amara sighed and said nothing more. After a short while, they arrived at a place. Suddenly the ground began to shake and trees began to fall. Amara then saw the guardian that protected the path to the White Priest, Kidu. Kidu was a gigantic serpent of terror. It was even bigger than what the king had described. Amara was paralyzed out of fear. She, however, managed to speak while trembling. "I'm a blessed twin from the gods. I have come to help my sister," she said in a stammering voice. The giant snake looked at Amara and Akin, and all of a sudden something strange happened. Kidu began to reduce in size. It shrinked all the way to a small snake and laid fully on the ground. All of a sudden it then turned into stone. Amara was surprised. Akin then told Amara that Kidu had given them the go-ahead to meet the white priest. In that moment, Amara wasted no time. She and Akin then walked past and soon arrived inside the temple of the white priest. The eyes of the gods. When Amara saw the white priest, she wanted to speak, but the eyes of the gods told her that he knew why she came. "My child, time is not in your hands, so I will tell you what you need to know," the eyes of the gods said. Amara listened attentively. The white priest told Amara that a powerful witch was the one that spelled Zara, her twin sister. He explained that the witch was part of their village long ago, but the former king, who was now late, banished her because she went about performing rituals on women and collecting money while promising them the gift of twins. After her banishment, she swore that she would get revenge on the village. The priest then explained that the witch used Zora as a way to exact her revenge on the village. The white priest gave Zora a white arrow. He told her that the arrow had to be shot at the witch. He said that once this is done, the judgment of the gods would fall on the witch. He then also gave her a mystical bead. The bead was meant to guide her to find the evil witch hut inside the forest. Akin and Amara thanked the white priest and left the shrine. As they came out, Amara noticed that Kidu, the great guardian serpent, was still laid down and in stone. Akin then told Amara that according to the story that was passed down from his great-grandfather, Kidu, the giant guardian serpent, did not shrink in size or bow to the ground. He explained that Kidu only turned into stone while maintaining its gigantic form. Amara, out of curiosity, then asked why their encounter was different. Akin then replied saying Kidu must have realized that she is a blessed twin from the gods and that was the only reasonable explanation. Amara took Akin's words as a sign of relief. She believed somehow the gods will make her mission fruitful. After walking for long hours, Amara and Akin got to a place and Akin realized that he could not go further. However, from where they were standing, they could see the evil witch's hut. Akin then told Amara that she has to go alone. He explained that the witch had cast a spell around the vicinity of her hut and only a woman can pass it. Since he was a man, he would not be able to pass. "But I've never shot an arrow before, how will I do it?" Akin then told Amara that the white priest had already known that this would happen, so he must originally intended Amara to be the one to use the arrow instead. Amara took Akin's arrow. She then went close to the hut. Strangely, she found that the old witch was sleeping inside. Amara felt so angry that the witch was sleeping peacefully after plotting evil using her twin sister. Nevertheless, she shot the arrow. She misfired, but however the arrow guided itself and pierced the witch. Amara then left and went to meet Akin. All of a sudden, as Ella looked back, she saw that the witch's hut was burning. The gods had casted their judgment. The day soon became dark. Akin and Amara then decided to rest and sleep. Akin used his protective charm to make sure that no harm would befall them as they slept. The next morning, Akin and Amara went back to meet the white priest. Amara was ready for the second task. The white priest explained to Amara even though Zara was no longer possessed, there was still a darkness inside her because she was not as gifted as she. He told Amara that her mother, Ada, had gone to meet a priestess to give birth to twins. However, the gods had already decided that Ada initially was going to get twins on her own. He explained that her mother's mistake was what made Zara to not be fully gifted. He added that all gifted twins were equally gifted. What one could do, the other could do equally as well. However, because of their mother's impatience, Zara was born different. Zara would always feel incomplete and would have a darkness inside her unless she is just like Amara. This was how the gods designed it. Amara then asked the white priest how would she be able to make things right. The eyes of the gods told Amara that she must go into the sacred forest and appease the gods in the divine tree. The white priest said that if she is lucky, the gods would forgive her and restore balance to she and Zara. Amara thanked the white priest and headed for the sacred forest. Akin decided to wait for her as he knew that she had to go alone for this particular task. When Amara located the divine tree, she prayed asking the gods to grant her audience. After waiting for a long while, thunder struck and a face appeared in the shape of flickering fire. Amara bowed her head. "Why have you come here? You are not the one to appease us." The god spoke in a loud thundering voice. Amara replied saying that she came to ask for mercy on behalf of her mother. The gods told Amara that her mother was destined for twins, but she had defied herself by meeting someone else to grant her wish. "This is why I've come to ask for mercy," Amara said, still bowing. The gods told Amara that punishment cannot be averted. They told her that soon her mother would become blind and would stay that way for 10 years. After 10 years, she would regain her sight again. Amara could not bear the thought of her mother losing her eyes. She asked the gods if there was a way she could avert her mother's punishment. The gods told Amara that the only way to do so was for her to give up her gift. The gods told her that she would no longer have any gifts. The gods asked Amara to pick between the two punishments. With tears in her eyes, Amara told the gods to remove her gifts and spare her mother. The gods then told Amara to return back to the village. "Go, your sister Zara has been restored, and your mother has been forgiven," the gods said as the flame disappeared. Amara stayed in the forest and began to cry. As soon as the gods disappeared, she could feel that something has left her. She could tell that she was no longer gifted. After crying for a while, Amara consoled herself by remembering that Zara would still have her gifts and that her mother would not go blind. The next day, Akin and Amara arrived at the village. Amara told the king everything that happened. At this time, Ada, Zara, and Amara's mother had been healed of her wound. The king also released Zara since she was no longer a threat to the village. Ada and Zara heard what happened to Amara and the sacrifice she paid in the divine forest, and also how she passed through Kedar to meet the white priest. Ada hugged her two daughters in tears as she apologized to them for what she put them through. She vowed that henceforth, she'll strive to become a better mother to them. Zara also apologized for the trouble she made Amara go through. Due to the incident that occurred in the forest, Amara then resorted to farming and hard labor as she was no longer gifted like she was before. Her twin sister Zara, as a way to honor the sacrifice Amara made for she and her mother, also joined her in her farming activities. As for their mother Ada, apart from joining them to farm, she would go to the divine forest on a daily basis to thank the gods and ask for their mercy on her family. This became the daily life of Ada and her twin daughters. 1 year passed and it was time to celebrate a massive festival in the village. Ada told her daughters that they should go to the village and celebrate with the village. During the celebration, something marvelously strange happened. The sky began to change color. All of a sudden, a drum started to gently come down in a beam of white light towards the point where Amara was dancing. Amara was surprised. However, the villagers knew this was a sign of the gods. As the drum got to Amara's hands, the beam of light disappeared. Everyone froze and nobody moved. Amara took a deep breath and hit the drum. In that moment, she could tell that she had regained her godly gifts back again. She then began to play the drum like she used to everyone's surprise. The villagers began to dance in celebration. The gods had heard their plea and restored Amara's gift. Zara could not contain her joy. She went to grab a drum and also began to play alongside her sister. The festival was the best festival that the village had celebrated. The blessed twins Amara and Zara played melodious beats and sound in majestic glory of the gods. The synchrony of their sounds could not be explained in words. Everyone rejoiced that everything in the village was at peace and balance. And so this ends the beautiful tale of Amara and Zara. Please like, subscribe and share for more beautiful stories.